welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast, and I'm so excited today to bring you another interview with one of our favorite Hall stars. We are talking with Viv Leacock today, and I'm Rachel. And Viv, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Rachel, thanks for having me on the podcast. And hello, everybody.
Yeah, this is so much fun. And what we like to do with our guests is we like to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us what inspired you to become an actor.
Oh, okay. Yes, well, as Rachel said earlier, my name is Viv Leacock, and I play Fincher on the Hailey Dean Mysteries. What inspired me to become an actor? You know, that's an interesting question. My first love is actually stand-up comedy.
Oh.
Yes, and I grew up watching Eddie Murphy's, the Red Foxes, the Richard Pryors, Bill Cosby's. I grew up watching a lot of really prominent stand-up comedians, and anything that was on television, any actor that was on television comedically was always something that caught my eye, like the Carol Burnett show. So I want to say again, rest in peace, Tim Conway.
Yeah.
Just again, one of the best that's ever done it. And I just really enjoyed making people laugh. That was fun. And it wasn't because I had a terrible childhood or secretly I was in a dark place. None of that. It's just I just really enjoy making people laugh. I just think it's like, they say laughter is the best medicine. I honestly believe that is true.
Mm-hmm.
But my older brother Richard, he got into acting, and he kept coming to me and saying, "You should be an actor. You should be an actor." And I kept saying, "No, I don't want to be an actor. I want to be a stand-up comedian."
Mm-hmm.
And he was really the person that really believed that I could do it and I should do it. And he kept coming back to me, trying to get me to go to acting class with him, and I just didn't want to do it. And then I actually was performing in my high school talent show. I was singing. I used to sing when I was younger, and I still sing. But
Mm-hmm.
but one of the judges was an agent in town. He has his own, had his own agency, and he approached me after the show, and he's like, "You have a lot of natural charisma and a lot of stage presence. I think you should be an actor." So I hear another person is telling me that I should be an actor, and I kept saying, "No, I want to be a stand-up comedian." And he's like, "Well, I think you should audition for this show, and I want to represent you." And so I was like, "Okay." And this is how acting came to find me. I was like, "Okay, no problem." So the very first audition I ever had, I landed a part on the show. Very first time I walked in, I had never acted before, and I went in, auditioned for the show, got a part, which lasted about a year. I filmed on this show for about a year, but I didn't know I didn't know how to act. I didn't know very much about the process of acting.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew how to mimic, because as someone who is comedic, I can mimic people. I can copy people a lot. So that's all I did. so I had this really long, weird journey to get back to acting. I actually walked away after about a year of acting on this show, and I didn't act for 7 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I did everything. I worked with special needs kids. I built office furniture. I drove delivery trucks. I did a bunch of stuff. I did mechanics, whatever it was, just to keep moving. But I found that nothing made me as happy. And I worked as a stand-up comedian at the same time. But I actually did kind of miss, something was missing, and I didn't know what it was. And then finally, my brother saying to me, "Please just come to my acting class. Come check it out." I finally was like, "All right, fine." And I went. And this is after 7 or 8 years being away from acting.
Uh-huh.
I went to one of the acting classes that he was going to, and a good man named Mark Brandon High, who actually does a lot of the Hallmark shows in town. Mark was my brother's acting coach, and Mark really helped me understand the process of acting. I was very resistant to it before because I didn't want anybody telling me what to do. I didn't want anybody trying to change what I do. And he didn't try to change that. He was informing me about all the kind of natural things that I do and all the natural ways that I act. And it led me to understand how I should do it a little bit better and how I could do it a little bit better.
Mm.
And it all kind of clicked. It just came back around full circle. And another good man named Jeff Seymour, who is an acting coach from Los Angeles, he he said one thing to me, and I don't know, and I can't explain to I can't explain to anybody else why what he said did something for me, but it did. All he said was this. I asked him after he gave a workshop. He came to town and he was doing a workshop for a lot of actors. And I said to him, as I was leaving the workshop, it was a 3-day workshop, and I was feeling a little frustrated with what I did. I didn't really like what I did.
Mm.
And I said, Jeff, what do I need to do? I feel like I need to do something. And he just said, what do you need to do, man? You got it all. You got everything. And I have no idea why, Rachel. I don't know why those words changed what I did and how I did it, but it did. Essentially what I know now from being an acting coach as well and working with actors over the years is that he just told me that I was enough.
Yeah.
He got me to see that I didn't need to be Eddie Murphy. I didn't need to be Richard Pryor and everybody else and all these people. I was always a mimic, but I was never myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me to see that I didn't need to act. I just needed to react, just be myself and react and take my life experiences and throw them into the circumstances. And it all clicked, and I've never looked back.
That's amazing. There's so many amazing things about that story. Because even those people that you admired, the reason
Mhm.
why they are great is because they were themselves.
Exactly the
Very
thing.
vulnerable on stage.
Yes.
And that's what makes it funny. Is
Yes.
that
Because they were being themselves. They weren't trying to be anybody else.
yeah.
It was an interesting thing in that Eddie Murphy early on in his career, before anybody really saw him, he used to mimic Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
When he was very, very young. And it, as much as it was a tribute to him, it didn't work for Eddie Murphy. He had to be himself. And I got the honor of working alongside Eddie Murphy in a movie called I Spy back in 2001. And the greatest thing about landing this part was the fact that he had to approve my part. He had to approve my audition. I got the part because he thought I was funny. And you're talking like this is a guy I've idolized since I was 8 years old. So for him to tell me I was funny, well, nobody can tell me I'm not funny. That's basically that was the end result of having worked with Eddie and that whole experience, and it really solidified for me that what I was doing and what I should do, it was working because it got me alongside, my idol.
That's really cool. Yeah, it kind of made me think of on the first season of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't know if you've seen that at all, but anyway, her husband wants to become a stand-up comedian, but he won't write his own jokes, and she's just like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you?" And he just does the jokes. He does the Bob Hope jokes instead.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I know those will work, and she's like, what?
But it's not you. Yeah. That's not how. And the thing too is if you walk through life kind of, pretending to be somebody you're not, everyone's going to see that that's what your worst fear is.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to know because that's what everybody's worst fear is, the fear of being found out to be a fraud. Everybody's afraid of that. And so if you're just authentically just yourself, then you're not, that's one less stress you can take off the table. You just don't have to, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, everybody can spot a poser.
Everybody can.
Especially in
Everybody can.
stand-up
Yeah.
comedian.
Oh yeah. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like we all have this, it's an interesting thing because a lot of people that I meet, they'll say, "Oh, I could never act. I could never act. Oh, I could never do that." And I tell them, like, you act every day.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? I'm like, I said, well, let's take this. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for instance, you run into somebody, that nosy neighbor or that nosy friend or someone that's always in your business. And I'm like, and then you have to kind of convince, and then let's just say you're having a bad day, but this person is going to kind of ask a bunch of questions and maybe get into your stuff and you don't want to divulge anything. I'm like, you do your best job of acting like everything's fine. You do your best job. That person cannot see through whatever the smokescreen you are putting up. We act all the time. We do this. It's like, there's a really funny comedian named Sebastian Maniscalco, and he talked about he paid a certain amount for a television, but he didn't want to give his dad the price that he paid for the television, even though he makes a lot of money. He knew his dad would disapprove, so he gave him the dad price, which is what we all do. We all make adjustments and we act. We're like, oh yeah, I got this it was only cost $300. What? A 65-inch flat screen? Yep, it's only $300. Only $300, Dad. Don't worry about it.
Great deal.
Yeah, I got a great deal. We do that.
Yeah,
we do that. We do that. So everybody is capable of acting.
Yeah.
That's my little
that is really
gem.
cool. Well, and your brother sounds like the best person ever.
I have the best older brother than anybody could ever ask for, and younger sister than anybody could ever ask for, and so I don't get killed when she. I grew up with an amazing older brother and an amazing younger sister, and my
people might get kind of competitive, like, don't hone in on my turf. This is my thing. This is my acting. So for him to not only be supportive but to actively encourage that's kind of unusual. That's really cool.
No, he's I can never say enough about my brother, and he has always been in my corner, like the one person, and fairness to my younger sister, she's younger, so she wasn't always there to look out for me, but she is now. But my older brother, he always looked out for me, always made sure that I was treated fairly. He's always told me about my best qualities, and he's told me about my worst qualities. He's the guy who really early on was telling me a lot of things that an older brother is supposed to tell him, I'm really thankful for him and my sister. Really cool. I always got thrown in my sister, but like I said, this brotherly situation is one that can really go south. It's easy for it to go sideways. But I'm lucky, very lucky.
It's really cool. That's really neat. So my first love is animation, actually, even more than Hallmark. And so whenever I see someone that has a bunch of voice credits on their IMDb, I definitely have to ask, what is your process for coming up with a voice, and how is that experience doing voice work versus live action work?
I I joke all the time and say that I basically give people Donkey from Shrek. That's basically what I do when I walk in for any audition. Every audition, I'm like, I'm looking down, Shrek. All I do is just throw that out there, and if they like that, if they want Eddie Murphy at a bargain basement price, then they hire him. They basically hire me.
Yeah.
It's interesting with voice. My daughter is actually really good at voice work, and consequently, there's 2 cartoons that she's working on. so my daughter has the true talent to pursue voice acting. I have lucked out and been, I don't know, the right person in the right moment. So all the credits that I have the guys that I've played, they sound like me. They've been close to my rhythm, close to my my pitch, close to my tone. And it's worked out in that respect. Where I've had to change my voice, I never feel as confident where I go far away from the way I actually sound. And it doesn't seem to work out that much. Whereas again, my daughter can walk in and like pretend to be anything and is really amazing at it. And I have to there's things that I feel confident doing when I'm mimicking someone. But I don't know if I'd walk into a booth and like put that down, because I do British accents and Spanish accents, Italian accents. I do a bunch of stuff as like jokingly. But again, if they were like, okay, we're gonna record that, I'm like, oh, I might be like, no, let's stick to Donkey from Shrek. But it's because it's a talent. That is a talent. That is a major talent in itself, because I've been fortunate enough to be on a bunch of different animated series, and the actors that are around me, oh my man, they've got 5 or 6 voices on the ready in case they're like, oh, don't use that one, use this one. Oh, don't use that voice, use this voice. I have Donkey from Shrek. That is what I have. I can give you that all day long. So yeah, that's my animated.
That's really me. Cool. Hey, it's good to be self-aware and know where your spot is.
Yeah, it's working. It's working. I give him what works, which is basically stay close to Viv. That's what works.
Yeah, very cool. And that's cool that your daughter's getting involved in that. How fun. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool to see. And it's I watched her do her thing and I was blown away, because I try not to. I don't want to get in the way of what she's doing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want her to try to like please me and do it the way Dad said. So I just get her to look at the material the same way I look at scripts, which is you have to understand every single thing you're saying, and you have to understand every single thing you're hearing, because that is the only way you can truthfully respond and react. That is it. That's it. It's like if you started speaking German to me right now, you would lose me. I wouldn't be able to follow. I'd be listening for inflections and sounds and something that I could recognize. And that's the same thing that happens when actors don't do their work, and they don't understand and know everything about who they're talking to and what they're hearing. You can't truthfully respond as an actor if you don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't work.
Right.
So Kelly, so that leads into like Kelly and I, when we're a lot of times when we're breaking down the exposition of the scene where we talk about who the killers are. You guys would laugh if you watched us perform those scenes, because there's so many names that we've said throughout each movie, that the names all there's so many names that they get jumbled in your head. You're like, who's this person again? Oh, that's the neighbor. Okay, the neighbor. Okay, that's the neighbor. And this is the ex-husband, and this is the real estate agent, and this is the taxi driver. And we have so many names, so that when we are saying this exposition, all we are doing is making sure we know exactly who we're talking about, because you guys will know if we don't know.
Yeah.
You'll know right away.
Well, and they also usually give them really kind of slightly over the top names.
My gosh.
Like Anastasia Andronicus or something like that.
Yes.
Like, who's named that?
Yes. Yes. It's like, why would you give us that name to say? Like Kelly in the most recent movie that just aired, she had to say the name of a medicine called digoxin.
Yeah.
And the way it's spelled, it's not spelled the way it's phonetically. That's not the way. It doesn't look that way. It looks like digioxin. That's what it looks like. So all of us said it wrong 1,000 times before we were told, no, it's digoxin. Like, oh, digoxin. But again, you have to look up things. You have to make sure you know what you're saying and saying it properly and know what you're talking about, or else you just sound like an idiot. So yeah, Kelly, always gets the hard job of saying all the names 1,000 times, all the names of the medicine and all the legal jargon and all of it. Fincher just gets to talk about burritos. I'm so happy.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely talk more about that. But I'm curious. So you had roles in bigger feature films, like 2012, Fun Time Machine, I Spy, things like that. The Mechanic, stuff like that. And I'm curious what the difference is between working on television, working on smaller roles. I mean, working on smaller films versus working on one of these big films.
Yeah. So the blockbuster films like 2012, 2012 was interesting. There were so many people on that set, and some of the biggest sets I've ever seen with green screens up the whole wall, like 100 feet up in the air. There's a green screen, and 100 feet to my right and 100 feet to my left is a green screen because all the destruction in that movie, it's all CGI. It's just it's just incredible what they can do. But what happens on the big blockbuster films is that you could spend 2 weeks doing one scene and you're saying the same lines over and over and over all day long from one scene. Whereas in television, you can easily shoot eight pages, 9 pages a day, which could contain 9, 10 different scenes. So you can easily do that. Whereas that would never happen on a major motion picture ever. We move at a much slower clip. Like for instance, I Spy took 4.5 months to shoot, like an hour and a half long movie.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing with Hailey Dean Mysteries, and it takes 15 days to shoot that. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't get to, I'll say like, I think a lot of times the blockbuster films that we watch where, if we come away from watching a blockbuster and we're like, oh man, that could have been better. And then we watch an independent film and we're like, that was amazing. Or like a Hailey Dean episode and like, that was so good. What I find is that when you're under the gun, when you have to do a lot in a short period of time, you become efficient and you do it well. Whereas if someone gives you 6 months to do something, it might not be your best effort the whole time. I'm not to say that anybody's slacking off on these movies, but what happens is it's easy to get people to get complacent. Like, oh, we have time to do it, and so you just don't get that hurry up. You don't get people looking at all the details when they should. Whereas we have no choice when we shoot, in 15 days. You have to do it. Everything has to get done. So,
that's really interesting. And it must help to have somebody like Kelly who's just so seasoned in television work.
Completely. I look to her a lot as far as like we do, behind the scenes interviews, we do behind the scenes like photo shoots and I just look at Kelly. I just look at her. I'm like Kelly has taught me how to, it's called smize. You smile with your eyes. That's all from Kelly. That's all from Kelly. All of it.
Nice.
Like she's a pro. She knows how to interview. She knows how to do the ads, the spots, the photos, whatever you ask of her, she can do it. And so I'm like, I'm just going to copy you, girl.
Yeah. Probably not a bad plan.
Yeah, good plan.
So you were on Psych for some episodes. What was that like?
So fun. The guys on the show are they're two of the funniest guys you could hope to work with, and there's an executive producer on the show named Mel Damsky, and I got on this show because I was the reader for the auditions that all the actors that came in to audition for the show read with. So I was the guy that everybody got a chance to kind of run the lines with. And Mel was really cool in that he he told me after, he says, you're a very funny guy, and I'm gonna get you in this show somehow. I'm gonna get you on the show somewhere. And so Mel was the person who was instrumental in getting me on Psych. And James and Dulé are just the two of the nicest leads and guys you could ever see. And a lot of what Kelly and I do on Hailey Dean, and the rest of our cast, Matt and Lucia, and when Nancy comes and has fun and stuff like that. A lot of it I saw on Psych. Psych really was a good example of a TV show where everybody has a tremendous amount of respect for each other. And I mean, the testament to that is that now they're doing the movies. They're doing Psych movies, and they they just finished filming one in town recently, and it was really good to catch up with. And I ended up Dulay's a good friend of a couple of friends of mine, so I run into Dulé a lot. And James Roday and I did he's a star of another show called A Million Little Pieces.
Oh, right.
And or A Million Little Things. I can't remember. And A Million Little Pieces. And I ended up doing an episode, a guest star on that, and it was cool to hang out with James again.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah, Mel Damsky, he has done a bunch of Hallmark movies, so you know him. Yeah,
I know Mel really well. Mel and Mel's a very good man. He's he really looked out for me, and it was
that's cool.
My daughter was born literally around the time that Psych was being cast. The pilot was being cast, and she was born, and we received a bouquet of flowers and a card from the whole cast. And I had literally just been a reader for a few days. This is how sweet everybody was on that show. They all were such nice people. It's so cool to still know them and still connect with them.
That's great. So your first role for Hallmark was in a small role in Cedar Cove?
Yes. That was I can't remember what year that was, but yeah, that was a very small part. I played a restaurant owner. I can't remember his name, but yeah, there was a very small little one-off. But again, come to set and everybody was really sweet. All the actors were really kind, and yeah, it was a very easy process.
So then you were in one of the Signed, Sealed, Delivered episodes, and if I'm not mistaken, it's the one where Carol Burnett is first introduced. Is that correct? No?
I don't know, actually. Okay. I'm not sure.
I could be wrong.
You probably know more than I do.
Yeah. So what was that a fun thing to be a part of Signed, Sealed, Delivered?
Yeah, very, very much so. Again, the cast, I knew there was a couple of casts from Signed, Sealed, Delivered that were from Vancouver. So we went, we go way back. So doing that show, it was a lot of fun. It's always fun to see, your peers working and doing well. And yeah, my friend Crystal Lowe, she was one of the leads on that show, and it's really cool to see, someone that I consider such a great actor in town, get a chance to do her own thing, her own show. It was really cool.
I will forever love Crystal Lowe because when it's a long story, but when I was interviewing her, we got kind of interrupted, and I ended up turning off the recording button, and I forgot to turn it back on. And so we did the whole half of the interview without it recording. And then I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so mortified. I was so embarrassed. And she was so nice.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing over again.
Oh, yeah. Crystal's a sweetheart.
She will always be one of my favorite people. She was so nice and so understanding. She is. And I was inopportuning her, and she was the one calming me down and making me feel better because I felt so bad. So
oh yeah, no, that sounds exactly like Crystal. And yeah, she's out in Los Angeles now, and doing a lot of things with directing. She's she's making the move to the director's chair. So it's
Oh, that's
very
cool.
exciting.
That's
Yeah,
really
it's a
cool.
really exciting time. So
Yeah.
you'll probably see her. You'll probably see her. See her name directing something to do with Hallmark. I'm sure.
Well, you were in one of the most popular Hallmark Christmas movies with the Christmas Detour.
That's right. Yes, I get to like be in all these amazing Hallmark projects, and it's always this thing where I kind of get the easier jobs. I come in, I get to be funny, I pop in, I pop out, and that's really what it was with me and Hallmark for the first, the first while. I just would come in, I'd say some funny lines, and I get to go away, and everybody else has to do the heavy lifting. I just get to enjoy the perks of a show that's well put together.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah, and and you did an Aurora Tea Garden and a Murder She Baked before doing Hailey
Hmm.
Dean, I believe.
I did, I
So was
did.
that kind of helpful to have kind of gone through those?
Um, yeah. I mean, the what you run into when you do a Hallmark show is, like I said, just really nice people.
Yeah.
Everybody's so kind, and the leads are they're just always, they hire the right people. The leads on these shows are people that are, everybody's humble, everybody's very happy to come to work and do the job, and it's always a pleasurable experience. So it was cool in that I got to work with uh, on Aurora Tea Garden. I worked with Terry Ingram,
Mm-hmm.
who's directed. He directed the first couple of Haley Deans, and of course the Aurora Tea Garden. And it was cool because I had just worked with Terry on Aurora Tea Garden when Haley Dean came up, and he was the director of
Yeah.
that movie. So we had just worked together, and I'll tell you a little story about how I got the part as Fincher.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna ask
There's a
next.
little, there's a little story. So this goes back to what I said earlier about, you have to know what you're talking about. So in the first movie, there's a scene in the movie where Haley and Fincher are looking through. Fincher's board a metal detector because Haley suspects that something that's important to the case is lost in this field under a bridge, and she needs the metal detector to find it. So so Fincher is helping her, and he doesn't like snakes. So kind of like Indiana Jones, he
Mm-hmm.
does not like snakes. Doesn't do snakes very well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a line in the movie, there's a line in the script that I saw for my audition where he says, "Oh, is that a water moccasin?" And it says that Fincher recoils when he sees what he thinks is a water moccasin. Okay, so here now I come into audition for Fincher. We get to the scene where he's supposed to say, "Is that a water moccasin?" The casting director at the time for the Haley Dean movies was a cool lady named Tiffany Mack.
Mm-hmm.
So Tiffany and Terry are in the room, and Tiffany says, "So, uh, you know that a water moccasin is," and I said, "A snake." And she said, "Yeah." And Terry says, "You're the only actor that's known that. Everybody else that came in didn't know that that was a snake." And he said, "One guy thought it was a shoe." And I was like, "Hang on, what?" I'm like, "Are you trying to tell me that nobody knew that was a snake?"
You're like Google people.
Google. Again, this is what I go back to is my point was, how do you say it convincingly if you don't know what it is?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how you act in a situation where you don't know that what you're running from is a snake.
Yeah.
Because if you think it's a shoe, well, thank you for helping me get the part. so
That's great.
so I literally got the part because I was the only person that knew what a snake was, what kind of snake it was that we were talking
That's funny. And
about.
you've done 9 movies, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it pays to Google, man. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
it does. Well, what is your favorite parts about playing Fincher? What do you like about the character?
Oh, my favorite part about playing Fincher. Honestly, a couple movies ago, I found out that, well, 3 movies ago, I found out that Fincher was actually based on a real person. I didn't know that.
Oh,
I
interesting.
didn't know. So Fincher is actually based on a good man named Ernest, who was Nancy Grace's actual investigator when she
Oh,
was a prosecutor. So he's a real guy. And I didn't know that. I didn't know.
yeah.
And so Nancy told me this 3 movies ago. And I was blown away because I was like, oh man, I would have loved to have talked to him to, like, get some Ernest isms into my Fincher isms,
Mhm.
and just to kind of pay respects to the man. Because I kind of put this character together. He's really kind of comes from my brain. But yeah, I was like, oh, I would so love to know what he thinks. And 2 movies ago, um, there's the movie Death on Duty. So the,
Uh-huh.
the one that aired a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
When I read that script is when I was told that Fincher was a Marine,
Mm.
and that made me really proud because I have a tremendous amount of respect for anyone in the armed forces.
Yeah.
I think that level of sacrifice and potential sacrifice, because not everybody gets deployed. Um, but I have no words. I just I have just nothing but respect for anybody in the armed forces, and so to know that Fincher um, is a Marine,
Yeah.
I was very proud. I'm very very proud to portray someone in the Marines who's left that life but is still trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Um, but my favorite thing about playing Fincher is working with Kelly.
Mhm.
That is by far the best thing. She like you said, she knows how to do all this so well, and is just such a nice person and such a professional. Um, and just she's got my back. She looks out for me in real life, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. And
Well,
yeah, we
it's
have you know.
yeah, it seems like they've really expanded the character from where
hmm
it was just sort of part of the team. Maybe in some other, and now it's like practically a co-lead. Like you're there on all the posters. Like that must be exciting.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Again, Kelly really she keeps her ear to the ground and she sees what the fans like, and she always has suggestions as to
Yeah.
which way the movie should go, which direction everything should go in. And this is another thing that I really like about Hallmark. Hallmark really listens. They really listen to their fans.
Uh-huh.
They really react to what the fan base is asking for. So I'm honored, that any fan base or any of the fans would want to see more Fincher. And I because I love playing the guy. I just think he's a good soul. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing I love about Fincher. He's a good guy. He's always trying to do to do the right thing, and I think he represents a lot of us. He keeps it simple though. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that I like the best about playing the guy. He just really keeps it simple. There's not. I jokingly said to Kelly and I were talking about Mother's Day and just the dynamic of what the schedule was for that day because she has 2 kids and I have 3 kids and we have there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I said jokingly, I don't think that either Haley or Fincher could deal with our actual lives in real life. I said they both would rather solve a murder than to deal with our actual schedules and actual life. And she was killing herself laughing because it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. That
they
makes
they keep
sense.
it they keep it simple.
Yeah.
Haley keeps it simple and Fincher keeps it simple. That is definitely a thing. But yeah, I love working with our cast: Matt McCall, Lucia Walters,
Is it fun to all of a sudden to have a little bit of romance with
Yeah.
Fincher?
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. That's not something that's come up a lot in my career. So, yeah, it's nice. It's nice to explore that. And we've actually had to have two Megans because our amazing actress, Alvina August, she actually landed a part on another show, and it just didn't work out scheduling wise that she could do so that she could do both. And so um, an amazing actor, Caitlin Stryker, has come in to kind of fill the role as play Megan. And I'll give you a little fun fact. Clayton Morrell, the actor that plays Clayton Morrell, Bradley Stryker, is Caitlin's husband.
Oh, there you go.
and I can say this now, because I'm gonna. So our two killers, one from the episode that just aired, and the one from the one Death on Duty, they're married.
Oh, we'll keep it in the family.
We do. We keep it in the family. We keep it in the family.
That's really funny. So, are you would you describe yourself as a foodie, kind of like Fincher?
You know, it's I'm like Fincher in that I do keep it simple. I'm like the easiest person to please, food wise. I do have a particular palate, like Fincher, but I'm very easily. If you give me a good burrito, good pizza, good burger, I'm happy. You can't miss with any of those things. I'm fortunate in that my wife is an amazing cook, and so she's constantly coming up with different things for us to try out and different places for us to go. I wouldn't have done any of those things. I again, you could give me a good burger and I'm happy, you know. And yeah, my wife has expanded my palate for sure.
So you wouldn't go hunting down the best burrito, like you would just find one and you're fine.
You know what? I might go hunt down the best burrito. That's for sure. It's like I do that thing because of the particular palate. You can give me a burger, but I'm going to be happy with the burger that somebody is, I'm going to be happy with the $20 burger. I'm going to be happier with a $20 burger. I will. I know I will be, because it's someone that's taken and put so much love into it than the $2 burger. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
I'll eat them both. Don't worry. There's no worry. I'll definitely eat them both. But I know I'm going to enjoy the other one a little bit more.
I'm kind of like that with pizza and ice cream. Like, I like the fancy stuff, sure, but it's just this convenience store. It's pretty.
I got no problem. Yeah, I got no problem with it. I got no problem. You can give me gourmet ice cream, or I can have a fudgicle. I'm totally. It's all good. There's nothing wrong with it. Because I've kept it simple in my life. There's a lot of things that I still really love from the time that I was a kid. Like, for instance, I don't drink wine. I actually don't drink alcohol at all, but I don't drink wine. And everyone that knows me is like, that's because your palate's not very sophisticated. That's why you don't drink wine. Because I've taken a sip of wine and I was like, oh my God, this tastes like dirt and wood. That was my reaction to wine. I'm like, this stuff is terrible. But people love wine. Like, Kelly loves wine. And I just laugh all the time. I'm like, it's dirt and wood. I can't get into it.
I don't drink alcohol either. But
See?
The sips that I've had in my life, I was not a fan.
No, it's not good.
It's an acquired taste.
It is. It's an acquired taste. And you know what acquired taste means to me? It means you didn't like it when you tried it. So why would you go back?
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
I don't get it. There's no burger that I'm currently eating that I didn't like the first time I had it.
That's very true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't do that. This pizza is terrible. I'll come back here tomorrow and get the same. No.
It's very true.
Yeah, we keep it simple. We keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, we've really been enjoying the Hailey Dean, and so we like to end our interviews what we call the Team B questions. They're just our kind of silly questions. And so here we go. The first What is the best ice cream flavor? Speaking of ice cream.
Oh, the best ice cream flavor that I like is white chocolate raspberry cheesecake. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it's really good.
That sounds really good.
It's really good.
What is your favorite color?
Probably gray or blue.
Okay, good.
But I wear a lot of black. I wear black all the time.
Okay.
But I wear that for strategic reasons because it never goes out of style. So.
Hey, it's like the women have the little black dress.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
right.
It's nice and slimming.
That's right. So what music are you into right
now? What am I into right now? Always like old school Motown. Is always on the playlist. R&B, I love jazz, hip hop. There was a rapper that passed away recently named Nipsey Hussle, and I really started looking into a lot. I knew of Nipsey Hussle like for the last like 10 years, but closer to around the time that he passed away, I really was. I was looking at the things that he was trying to do to make his neighborhood and the surrounding areas better. And so I've been looking at a lot and then reading a lot of the lyrics that he was saying about his community and situations. And I've really kind of started looking into a lot of what he was saying. And he's a good man. I know he came from hard surroundings and a hard past, but he really turned things around, and I admire when people do that.
Yeah, for sure. So what is your go-to date night food? Going out.
Go-to date night food. My wife loves Thai food, Malaysian food. That works. My wife's Filipino, so anything that's like in that kind of realm, she'll be happy with.
Does she eat blue?
Oh, balut, you mean?
Because that's a Filipino thing, right?
But it's pronounced balut. No, she doesn't. She does not eat that. No, thankfully. Do you guys do your listeners know what balut is?
I don't know. It's a fermented, fertilized duck egg.
It's like the embryo.
Yeah. Ooh.
It's like the worst thing. I'm like, see, to me, I understand how certain foods were foods. If you go back 400 years where you just didn't have an option, there wasn't a refrigerator. I get it why you needed to have that. It's like I understand why people needed to eat haggis at a certain point, but you don't need to do that now. Unless this the show called Fear Factor, you should not be eating balut or haggis or any of these foods that should have been outlawed, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. I kind of feel the same way sometimes about camping. It's like,
why? We have
houses.
Like, we have a house.
Floor. I don't know.
I don't camp. I don't know if Fincher camps, but Viv doesn't camp because I have a home.
That's right.
I paid good money for this house. Why am I gonna go sleep on the ground? I'm not gonna do that.
We're on the same page there. So what is your go-to date night activity to go out and do?
Go-to date, it's usually dinner and drive. We'll go. My wife and I'll go for a drive because we have to get back to the kids. Babysitters and stuff. Yeah, it's my wife and I have been together for almost 27 years. And
congratulations.
And thank you. And we actually met when we were 13.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's just easy. It's real easy with my wife and I. We're like partners. This lady and I.
Good. Mm-hmm. All right, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay. Beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
Yes, that's mine.
Yeah.
Would you rather eat suit and tie or sweats?
Huh.
Or do you like dressing up? Or?
I do like dressing up. I mean, as you can another fun fact, the wardrobe that Fincher has, that's my stuff. That's my clothes.
Really?
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Well, you look slick then. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, I
What
like
is
it.
your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Favorite holiday? Christmas.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
tough to beat.
it is tough to beat. It's just yeah, when the spirit hits you, man, and everybody's feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to beat that.
Sometimes Hallmark, I think they get people, the actors maybe could get a little Christmas burnout by being in these
But yeah, by the
movies in
time you
July.
yeah, when you start filming in July, it's really easy to get burnt out. But I get it. I get it, man. It really is like I think it's the one holiday that people can really I don't know, they're aware that they should kind of drop the stress and come together. They're aware. They're
Especially when
aware.
you have kids.
Hmm.
Christmas is the best with
Oh
kids.
man, yeah, you get to watch the
Yeah.
kids like be so it's the
Yeah.
best. It is the best.
As a single lady, it's not as fun. I mean, it's
Mm.
still fun because I cover Hallmark, so it's like insane. But
Yeah, you
when it's quite the thing to have a podcast for covering 40 Christmas movies.
oh my
But
gosh.
but with kids, it's just so exciting. You
It
can't
is.
replicate that.
It is. Yeah, when my wife and I love to surprise the kids, man, and just like we my wife and I grew up in a very similar fashion in that there wasn't always money
Yeah,
for the things that we wanted. Most times there wasn't money for the
yeah.
things that we wanted. It's different with our kids in that we can provide things a little bit more than our parents could for us, but we still like to kind of set them up a little bit. Like, oh, we couldn't get it, man. Sorry, we couldn't. We couldn't make it happen. It was not possible. And then we get it for them,
Yeah.
and then they flip out. And it's
You know,
it's
have you ever seen on Jimmy Kimmel? He has those like kids unwrap, kids reacting
oh
badly
yes,
things.
yes.
They open a present with nothing in it, or
Yep.
it's pretty funny.
Yep, I couldn't. My kids are too savvy for that. I couldn't wrap something with nothing in it. They would,
Yeah.
they would know.
So, last question, and you can say one of
Hmm.
your own, no
Hmm.
judgment. What is your favorite Hallmark movie?
Favorite Hallmark movie? Yeah, it's definitely. You know what? I'll say this. I'll say that it was the very first Haley Dean
Uh-huh.
because that's the one that set off
Yeah.
everything and set off the other eight that we did. And yeah, it set in motion, this platform where I could meet all these amazing directors that we've had, Michael Robeson and Alan Harmon and Terry Ingram, and all of the different people in the hair and makeup department, and just like the DOPs and just amazing people. So yeah, I'll say that.
Well,
That's
great.
my
That's a very good answer. So you did it. You passed the test. You
favorite.
keep making Hallmark movies.
Oh, nice, nice, nice.
So, how can people find you on social media, online, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, my Twitter handle and my Instagram handle are the same thing. It's just at Viv Leacock. I keep it simple, man.
Great.
Just like Fincher.
Well, I will have that down in the description section for people to check that out, and make sure you guys are following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, all over social media and on iTunes and YouTube. If you can leave your ratings and reviews on iTunes, we really appreciate it. And if you can give us a thumbs up if you're listening on YouTube, we really appreciate that too. So thanks so much. This was really fun. I had a great time talking with you.
Thank you, Rachel. You're great, man. And yeah, it's a lot of fun talking to you. We're gonna do it again, I hope.
Yes, definitely.
All
Let's
right.
do it again. And tell Kelly we want to talk to her.
I will. I
That would
will.
be
I'll
great.
get on it right now. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, yes, we'll definitely talk again soon. And thanks for making Fincher a great part of the Hallmark family.
Oh,
Really
thank
fun.
you. Thank you. I appreciate your words and everything. And thanks, guys, for listening and watching. And let me know what you guys thought of the movie last night.
Yeah, we will. We'll
All
definitely do
right.
that. And thanks again. And we will. Yeah, we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.